we're killing without testing. We're killing healthy animals. And so we're actually putting ourselves more at risk. Please allow us to test our animals, write letters that we should have the ability to test our animals. And remember, not one of these animals that are standing out in our field today have been tested. So if we tested them, which we have the FDA and the NIH willing to pay for those tests and actually help collaborate and get those tests done, and we were avian influenza free, that should be able to say, hi, trading partners, guess what? We're actually avian influenza free here, and let's move on. But instead of holding this, it's like a precedence war that we're in right now.
They're not willing to even give that a chance. They want to just slaughter them because they can. Because they were told that, they said they were going to do it, and they're damn well going to do it.
Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, reporting to you from 301 Langhill Road. That's the rural address of Universal Ostrich Farms. And behind me is one of the ostriches whose lives, there's his long neck, prehistoric being behind me, whose lives is hanging in the balance because at any moment, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency is set to come on to this farm property, tell the farm owners that they can have access to anything the farmers own, and execute their cull mission to kill 400 healthy ostriches who, as of today, September 3rd, when I'm filming this, have been healthy for 232 days. The story makes absolutely no sense, yet here it is, a reality in Canada. And today I ask the farmers and some of the supporters who have come here to support them in their fight to try to stop that call, why? Why do they think the CFIA wants to kill these birds? All right, this is Jody. Now, she just came back from foraging, and you're getting these mushrooms ready for the farm. Yeah. But I'm asking everybody, why do you think the CFIA isn't backing down, even though there's so much pressure coming from all ends to do so?
Because they won't say they wrong. That's plain and simple. They know that if they do that, then they just don't want to admit that they're wrong, basically.
Pride. Is it?
And but it's such overreach, though. So it's it's hard to imagine why they don't. It really is.
Why do you think the CFIA isn't backing off, even though there's so much pressure for them to do so?
I think if one looks at the psychological motivation, this is fear. Introduce fear into a community, and 99% of the people will simply comply. There are very few people who will actually stand up for their principles and see it through, even if they're punished, even if they've got, consequences. And there's books being written about this, how to control the masses.
I believe that they do not have to, that they're playing a game. They're playing a different game than we are playing. So why aren't they backing down? It's a different game. They're playing a power game. We're playing a life game. The two games are different, maybe.
I think that they're on a mission to prove that they have the power and that the people don't. They said they were going to kill them, and they are darn certain that, and what's really ridiculous is the people that own the ostriches aren't even allowed to test them. The CFIA won't test them, and the people aren't allowed. Mm-hmm. They will go to jail and be fined, I think it's $200,000, just for testing their own animals. Mm-hmm. And I think it could be, it sounds, conspiracy theorist, I know, but there's a lot of conspiracy theory is actually conspiracy fact. And
There's about 6 months between it going from theory to fact, it seems.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't take long, does it?
All right, Katie, every time I say this, I don't know how you're doing it. It's so many ups and downs, but people want to know right now, they want to know, starting with the whistleblower, what can you share about what you were told?
We were told that we have days, not weeks, that Canadian Food Inspection Agency is done. I don't know what that means, but they're done. And that they will be bringing in a task force from Vancouver and Surrey and to follow up with the mass slaughter of all of our healthy 232 natural herd immunity animals full of hope. So we were told that, which obviously put us in a lot of fear, made us, this is our worst nightmare. This is everything that we've been fighting against.
For those of you who are just tuning into the story, you've got to go to our special website. It's called SaveTheOstriches.com. Close to 50 reports at this point are there explaining what's been happening since last year. For several months, the owners of this farm who have treated and raised these birds like pets, they've even named these birds, who, by the way, are not being used for human consumption, before quarantine were being used in therapeutics research. Their eggs were having the antibodies extracted from them in partnership with Japan, the US, and Canada, because ostrich eggs, you tell them, ostrich eggs are filled with way more antibodies than chicken eggs. So the idea was trying to find an antibody therapeutic way, not an mRNA vaccine way like Big Pharma has in mind, to address viruses like COVID-19. Yet after an anonymous tip came in and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency came here late last year, look at that little dance going on, they're going to kill that bird if something doesn't stop them. But late last year, they tested 2 dead ostrich carcasses after a sickness went through this farm and mainly only affected the young birds of the flock, meaning the older ones. Some they've had over 30 years, by the way. These guys can live for a very long time. They likely had already experienced what it was, but 2 overcycled PCR tests determined that it was avian flu. So now the farmers have been saying, well, for 232 days, they've been healthy, asymptomatic. Why would you kill them when now they're immune from the avian flu? And by the way, the Americans are saying, we want to partner with you. The NIH, the FDA, the Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. are offering the deal of what could be, who knows, to partner on that research. But still, the CFIA is saying no. And in fact, a credible whistleblower whose identity we won't be revealing has said at any day they could come here. We're going to talk more about what that whistleblower said with Katie Pisitny. She's the adult daughter of co-owner of the farm, Karen Pisitny, and she's the spokesperson of the farm during this battle. And we're going to talk to some of the other people about the question you guys keep asking me, which is why? Why won't the CFIA do the right thing, let these birds live? It almost seems like it's been exposed that this policy makes no sense, but they have to keep going ahead with these ostriches because everybody's watching. And then maybe down the road they think we'll change the policy. I don't know.
Well, they'd like to see change in the policy, but at this point with this situation, it's gone so far for so long that they have so much egg on their face, gotta say. And everyone's watching and seeing that. And what would them bowing down, or however you want to say, stopping all this, how is that going to look with any future decisions that they make? So they're trying to set an example, maybe.
But one of the most is to get this sort of mass hypnosis of the population is to introduce fear. And we've seen that in the last 5 years here in Canada, in the world. We've seen it with the wars that are going on in the world at the moment. And, if people would be prepared to be reasonable and talk peace, the problem is everybody starts arguing with one another.
I believe that there are whistleblowers, Canadians. Canadians are whistleblowers. We work for the best, for the truth. And we created this country out of people looking at what they're doing and adjusting as they needed to create to create goodness. And I believe that we have people that have positions within the corporate system who really want to do right with God. And they know that this is a global issue, a global fight. And I think that there's going to be people who step out of their position quietly for God's side. I really do. I feel it's going to happen.
The elites, the multi-billionaires and stuff are trying to get rid of us. They've already said that they're going to depopulate the earth. That we've got too many people and they're going to depopulate it. And now they're doing stuff like this to destroy food, to destroy, like these birds, because they have the immunity, if they're tested, they could be a way to find immunity for all animals and people so that we wouldn't have to worry about getting sick and dying from things like COVID because we'd have immunity to it.
I think the biggest problem here right now is we're really seeing an uproar in Canadians and on an international level where we're asking for that restoring accountability between Canadians and our Democrats. And we need to restore trust between Canadian Food Inspection Agency, between our farmers. And we're finding a problem right now because it's actually putting humanity more at risk. Our farmers are not trusting the very organizations that should be protecting us, and they don't want to report reportable diseases. They're afraid. So if we have that fear when we should have trust, it puts us more at risk. And yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, that word trust you're saying. I know that head of Medicare in the U.S., when he's going to bat for saving the flock as well, Dr. Oz, he's saying the same thing. The way the CFIA is acting, not allowing retesting when clearly the flock is healthy and wanting to cull them anyways, and slaughtering the science if they go ahead and slaughter these birds. It's building distrust in the agency itself and maybe making farmers in the future go, I better not report an illness. And that's the mark that's being missed here. I'm going to ask you the same question I'm going to ask some of the people that have come here to support peacefully the stand. And Katie and the farmers have been calling for more to stand with them. Come see the birds for yourself. Yes. No violence on 301 Langell Road. But before I ask you the question I'm going to ask everybody else, I want to know from you, what more do you think the people can do to help the farm and help this fight?
Come stand with us in unity and in solidarity and strength. We all deserve the change, I think, Canadians. And on an international level, people want to see a win. We want to see that we've been heard. We want to see that we have a voice. And so come stand with us here. Take pictures of our big prehistoric, beautiful animals that have survived millions of years on this planet but are at jeopardy of losing their lives to Canadian Food Inspection Agency. You can write letters. You write Mark Carney. We're asking Mark Carney. You have the ability to save us here and to restore the hope and trust that's been fractured between organizations and Canadian citizens. You can write Canadian Food Inspection Agency, asking for them to actually review the science after the call order. Tell them that you want to see, that you want them to be part of what the results that we have, scientific proven data from Dr. Pellick. Say that you want to see our expert witness reports reviewed that were stricken from the court records. Say that you want us to have a chance here to offer Canada the economic opportunity and the innovation, research and the science that we've been able to develop here to be able to help humanity and animal welfare, to actually protect our trading partners, to actually protect the trade between the different industries. I know that the cattle farmers and the poultry farmers, the swine farmers, everybody's worried because we rely so heavily on this trade, the trade impact. But remember, we have the ability, if we don't test them, and we're not testing healthy, we're killing without testing. We're killing healthy animals. And so we're actually putting ourselves more at risk. Please allow us to test our animals, write letters that we should have the ability to test our animals. And remember, not one of these animals that are standing out in our field today have been tested. So if we tested them, which we have the FDA and the NIH willing to pay for those tests and actually help collaborate and get those tests done, and we were avian influenza free, that should be able to say, hi, trading partners, guess what? We're actually avian influenza free here, and let's move on. But instead of holding this, it's like a precedence war that we're in right now.
I don't know. I don't get their mentality. Come out and just retest birds. That's all. It makes nothing but common sense. Either that or contact the farm, like the owners, like make some kind of communication. There's been zero. Does that make sense either too? None of this makes sense.
That's right. They haven't stepped foot on the farm for well over 6 months.
Haven't stepped on 2 PCR tests, PCR, that we all know what those are. Nothing. They're fake. They're not real.
They're not willing to even give that a chance. They want to just slaughter them because they can. Because they were told that, they said they were going to do it, and they're damn well going to do it.
So what is the latest with the fight legally, despite the fact that the CFIA could show up any minute as we're standing here September 3rd?
Any minute, imagine. No Canadian citizen, nobody in the world should ever have to feel what our family has felt when we've just been asking for a basic test. All of this could have got resolved by testing them. And all of this could have been resolved by removing ostrich from poultry, because they're not poultry. So our legal battle right now is we're looking for another emergency stay order to look at our other legal options, which should be Supreme Court. This has gained international interest, and that does lead us up the board a bit for Supreme Court. So we're putting that in right away with some new material. We'll be waiting on that. We don't know what the response will be from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency on that. It's a waiting game, and we're waiting here anxiously, and we are sitting here with fear. But I think the most that we need to be reminded of is that we have been able to remain hopeful for 9 months. Yeah. And we are beacons of hope, and I believe that the ostriches are beacons of hope for Canadians, for we deserve change, and it's possible.
Well, the $1 million question, which I'm going to ask you, and of course now we're getting into probably conspiracy theory land, is why. I get asked this all the time. Drea, why? Why, with all of this pushback politically, whether it's people just saying, hey, this is inhumane, internationally, why on earth would the Canadian Food Inspection Agency be threatening you, the farmers, with jail time if you test them and prove their health, instead of proving they're healthy and saying, yeah, let's partner during this time of great trade war tension between Canada and U.S. Let's partner and let's actually find a better solution potentially. What do you think is the reason why the CFIA appears to not be budging?
There's a couple of reasons. One, I believe it's a precedence. If we set a standard here, then all farmers are going to want to follow suit and protect their animals. Well, we should be allowed to. And again, that just wraps it around that we should be able to test our animals. The ones that are survivors, we should be able to work with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and protect our genetics and our biodiversity within our farms, supplying us with nutritional food supply for generations to come. Another one is that we do have antibody research that sits here, and it's a natural, sustainable solution to pushing us away from the need of vaccinations. We are a beautiful machine. Our bodies are incredible. incredible, and we can overcome illness, and that is by natural immunity. We develop robust antibodies, and that will carry us through the rest of our life. I said earlier, I'm like, the one thing I think that scares the Canadian government or the government the most is health. So if you want to really push back at the government, get healthy, be healthy, live longer. And
Sad but true.
yeah, and pay attention to your antibodies. I put a challenge out. Go get your antibodies tested.
Take vitamin D when COVID's going around. How come they never told anybody to do that?
Yeah, exactly. And instead of that crazy vaccination card we had to carry around your big, beautiful antibody card of what your body holds. And so when they come at us for the next vaccination, you can say, actually, these are my amazing, robust antibodies that I've developed myself, and they're real. Let's really be careful with them taking that away from us and making them think that antibodies and natural immunity aren't a thing. They are a thing. We have it with 232 days. Happy, healthy animals that are at the hands of the mercy of Canadian Food Inspection Agency and our government for losing their lives. And once we make this mistake, there's no turning back. This mistake is made. They will never get these heartbeats back. We'll never get this warm skin back, the booming in the fields and the pitter-patter of their toes running across. We're never going to get that back. So right now, rise up, Canada. Join us at Universal Ostrich Farms because we are ground zero for change. If you believe in something passionately, fight for it. Fight for it with all you have, and our goal is to take this to the finish line. And we're fighting for all Canadians right now in our agricultural industry.
As you can see from the birds behind me, they are healthy, yet the CFIA is still coming, perhaps for all the reasons you just heard. If you appreciate that I have my boots on the ground to show you what happens, whether it's a miracle or slaughter, please consider being part of what makes Rebel News possible by donating what you can at SaveTheOstriches.com.